never gets old to me. Hi everybody, John Elliott, Hippy Dippy Weatherman for WCBS TV here in New York, and thank you for joining us for this year's very special Marine Corps birthday celebration. Behind me, of course, the Intrepid Museum. It has served as the host and home of the NYC Marine Ball for 25 years, but it has served our country far longer. It was commissioned in 1943 and immediately put into service in the Pacific, World War II. I mean, when you think about the history in that steel, multiple torpedo attacks, it survived 4 kamikaze attacks, over 50,000 service members served on this vessel before it was decommissioned in 1974. Thankfully, the story didn't end then. It was slated for scrap, but it was resurrected in 1982 and is now known really around the world as a great space to honor history and learn about the past, present, and future of service to our country. Excited to explore the Intrepid throughout the next hour and give you just a little taste of what you can experience almost every day of the year. It's only closed 2 days a year, Christmas and Thanksgiving, and you're busy those days anyway, but come on down. Right now though, let's jump through time and space and take you to the big birthday gala, which is right over there on the hangar deck.
My name's Jim Axelrod of CBS News, and I am absolutely thrilled to return as host for another year of this incredible gala. What an extraordinarily moving and meaningful evening. Thank you so much for having me. The founder of tonight's event, this is now more than a quarter century ago, which is really impressive if you think about it, that he was 10 years old at the time. Very impressive that a 10-year-old could pull something like this off. Please welcome everyone, the incomparable Jerry Byrne.
So, welcome, everyone. General Bellin, General Joseph Dunford, Sergeant Major Carlton Kent, distinguished guests. Congratulations to all, and thank you all for being here and supporting this very special and important evening. And thank you, Jim Axelrod. What a privilege it is to again have, Jim as our host / master of ceremonies, to have one of the world's premier journalists do this, for us it's a very special honor. And, this evening is about a couple of important awards, but, Mr. Axelrod has a Peabody, a Polk, an Edward R. Murrow Award, as well as 3 Emmys. And as I said, my cohorts, Jake and Zach, I'm so appreciative that we've been partners over the past few years because they're great Marines and great friends, and each of those individuals make a difference in everything that they do, personally and professionally. I'm just honored to have them as friends. And this gig, as I like to describe it, started 26 years ago, thanks to General Krulak, who was the commandant at the time, picking up the phone, at headquarters Marine Corps to hear my pitch about the importance of, doing a birthday party like this in New York as opposed to, an outlying city like Washington, D.C., where nobody knows from nothing, So, and that was my pitch when I called him, and his response immediately when I spoke to him on the phone, never met the man, he said, Jerry, that's a great idea, and we'll do it that year on November 10th. And he brought the drum and bugle corps. It was just amazing. So lastly, before I, pass the baton, back to Jim, I asked this last year as well, and it's a really simple question that I hope someone can answer. Is there anybody in the room that was born before April 27th, 1944, and was a Marine? I mean, if someone could step forward, that would be a really good thing. So, okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Jerry. Thank you for everything you do. And making sure this event comes off the way it does. All right. Let's get the proceedings underway. To kick things off, please welcome the narrator for the Commandant's Own, the United States Marine Corps Drum and Bugle Corps, Sergeant Alex Liddell.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Marine Barracks, Washington, D.C. proudly presents the Commandant's Own United States Marine Drum and Bugle Corps. On November 1st, 1921, John A. Lejeune, 13th Commandant of the Marine Corps, directed that a reminder of the honorable service of the Corps be published by every command to all Marines throughout the globe on the birthday of the Corps. Since that day, the men and women of our Corps have continued to distinguish themselves on many battlefields and foreign shores in war and peace. On this birthday of the Corps, therefore, in recognition of the will of our 13th Commandant, a reminder of the Corps' honorable service is republished as follows.
A Corps of Marines was created by a resolution of the Continental Congress. Since that date, many thousand men have borne the name Marine. In memory of them, it is fitting that we, who are Marines, should commemorate the birthday of our Corps by calling to mind the glory of its long and illustrious history. The record of our Corps is one which will bear comparison with that of the most famous military organizations in the world's history. Turning 90 of the first 146 years of its existence, the Marine Corps has been in action against the nation's foes. From the Battle of Trenton to the Argonne, Marines have won foremost honors in war and the long heirs of tranquility at home. Generation after generation of Marines have grown gray in war in both hemispheres and in every corner of the seven seas, that our countries and citizens might enjoy peace and security. In every battle and skirmish since the birth of our Corps, Marines have acquitted themselves with the greatest distinction, winning new honors on each occasion until the term Marine has come to signify all that is high as in military efficiency and soldierly virtue. This high name of distinction and soldierly repute we who are Marines today have received from those who have preceded us in the Corps. With it, we also receive from them the eternal spirit which has animated our Corps from generation to generation. It has been a distinguishing mark of Marines in every age. So long as the spirit continues to flourish, Marines will be found equal to every emergency in the future as they have been in the past. And the men of our nation will regard us as worthy successors to long live illustrious men who have served soldiers of the sea since the founding of our Corps.
The timeless message of our 13th Commandant has left its mark in the hearts and minds of all Marines, past and present. By deed and act, from Belleau Wood to the Argonne, from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima, from Incheon to the Korean Armistice, from the hard fights in Vietnam to Desert Shield and Desert Storm, to this century's longest wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and in hundreds of other places where Marines have distinguished themselves, Marines have continued to epitomize those qualities which are their legacy. The success which the men and women who have earned the title Marine have achieved in combat and the faith they have borne in peace will endure forever. The Commandant and our many friends have added their hearty praise and congratulations on this, our 248th birthday. One tradition of the Marine birthday is the cake-cutting ceremony. This ceremony is important to all Marines as it is an annual renewal of each Marine's commitment to the Corps and the Corps' commitment to our nation's quest for peace and freedom worldwide. The birthday cake is traditionally cut with the Mameluke sword as a reminder that we are a band of warriors committed to carrying the sword so that our nation may live in peace. As is our custom, the first piece of cake will be presented to our guest of honor, Lieutenant General Bellin. By tradition, the next piece of cake is presented to the oldest Marine in attendance as a sign of honor and respect accorded to experience and seniority. The oldest Marine present is Captain Jerry Byrne. He commissioned in the Marine Corps in 1966 and left active service in 1969 after 3 years of honorable service. Captain Byrne was born here in New York City on April 27, 1944. For 248 years, our experienced Marines have nurtured and led young Marines to fill our ranks and renew our Corps. Captain Byrne will now pass the piece of cake to the youngest Marine, symbolizing the passing of wisdom, knowledge, and experience, as well as trust and confidence in those who will carry on our Marine Corps traditions in the future. This evening, our youngest Marine present is Corporal Bernard Defoe, who enlisted in the Marine Corps on May 11th, 2021, and currently serves as a satellite communications technician with the 6th Communications Battalion in Brooklyn, New York. Corporal Defoe was born in Messina, New York on September 27th, 2002. Ladies and gentlemen, please join in congratulating our cake recipients.
Wow, this definitely isn't my brother Phil's body shop. Jessica Williams is the head curator of the Intrepid Museum. Where in the world are we?
We are standing in the aircraft restoration hangar, which is on Intrepid's flight deck.
So how many, different types of, planes, helicopters, or models do you have throughout the museum?
There are 28 aircraft in the collection. They're all different. Most of them are displayed out on the flight deck, although there are some inside the carrier.
But if they're out in the weather, I mean, it's got to be harsh. How often do you have to refurbish them?
We're on a constant schedule where things are rotating in and out of the space for repair.
And you have to keep them historically accurate, but you've got to be environmentally friendly because we're right next to Manhattan. How do you strike the right balance?
It's very specific to each aircraft. So anytime a plane comes in here like this one, we assess what the condition is, see how much work needs to be done. And then there's also, as you mentioned, just the research about the aircraft, what historical paint schemes it has, and trying to recreate a paint scheme that helps convey its history to our visitors.
As a curator, you're about knowledge, you're about instilling the love of history. What's it like to see a kid come up and see something, or to see a kid standing next to a parent that flew in one of these? How does that make you feel?
It's amazing to see how people connect with these real objects. Something right in front of them, something in some cases that might feel larger than life, and imagining themselves, maybe in that, being the single person in a jet like this. It's pretty incredible.
What do you want people to walk away from the Intrepid thinking and feeling?
I think for us, it's really important to see the human connection with technology. Again, here we are on the carrier. The ship didn't run itself. Thinking about the experiences of each of those 3,000 individuals, what their thoughts were, what their experiences were like, to really understand, the service of people who were on board Intrepid. So trying to bring to life the human activity is something that's both really fascinating for us and also can be a challenge at times.
Thank you, Jessica, for your time and, more importantly, for all you do here at the Intrepid. And now for you. Let's hear from some Marines who you may not even know were Marines. Two champs from The Amazing Race and Survivor, along with a current race competitor. Handing it over to the challenge host, TJ Lavin, for more.
Well, hello, everyone. Happy to be here. It's the Marine Corps birthday. Happy birthday. And how could we have a happy birthday without having some of the familiar faces from CBS's reality competition shows, all of whom have served in the Marines? We have a champion of Survivor, season 35, and a vet of the challenge, Ben Driebergen. We have the winner of The Amazing Race 30 and house guest on Big Brother, Cody Nixon, and a competitor from the current season of The Amazing Race, airing Wednesdays at 9:30 on CBS, Jeremy Heichel. All right. Well, thank you all for being here. I really, really appreciate you. First, do you think that the training that you had in the Marines helped you in competition on the challenge and in Survivor? And if so, what way?
Just pushing through the suck, right? Like living in the sand and having sand everywhere, not taking showers, everything like that. That was pretty comfortable and normal to me. So yeah, but this time I got to do it on a beach. So that was pretty sweet. And then for the challenge, just that no fear attitude, jumping off of whatever you got planned for us, buildings or blobs or, all that fun stuff. Yeah, just that no fear, go-getter attitude, I think is probably a benefit in some of these shows.
All right. And Cody, how about you?
there's always an objective on the Amazing Race. You have to complete the next task and the next task. And I had the ability to stay focused on these things and make decisions. You have to be very deliberate about your decision making on the Amazing Race, and that's what I did. And it wasn't life or death, but every decision mattered, and that's what ended up getting us to a win.
Jeremy, now you're currently competing with your brother in the Amazing Race. What's it like for you, a Marine vet, to team up with Liam, who's a Navy vet? And is there ever any culture clash or anything like that? Or
I think there's definitely types of culture clash when it comes to the Marines and the Navy. You always have that type of, going back and forth between both of the branches. And it's really all of the branches about who's the best in what area. But going through the race, I feel like we didn't end up getting that type of clash. I think the synergy between us ended up really helping us in the long run. I mean, Liam he was in intelligence in the Navy, so he's really good at being decisive and distinguishing things from what they aren't and what they are, and being able to plan ahead. And from my strengths in the Marine Corps, I'm very adverse in being able to be in high stress environments and just being able to keep your head on. I mean, in the Amazing Race, kind of like what Cody was saying, is there's always an objective, right? You know what I mean? And there's 1,000 things going on around you. And it's really easy to lose your composure and to get all caught up in your thoughts in where are their teams at? What is this next challenge going to be like? Where are we at in the rankings? And if you're able to just silence those voices and keep your eyes on the next objective at hand, that is something that I think was really beneficial from the Marine Corps. But overall, I think his strength and my strengths from the Navy and the Marine Corps worked really, really well for us in our team's dynamic.
all right, so
Hey, Teach,
this question.
I'm also objective oriented. Like, as I just didn't say objective in mine, so I was also objective focused on mine.
Yeah. That brings me to the next question. Were there any times, this is for all of you, were there any times that you actually had to ignore some of your Marine impulses and do the exact opposite of what your training might have suggested?
Kill or be killed? Yeah, you can't do that.
Cody, good answer. You're right. Thank you.
That was a good one. I would say for mine, the Marine impulse is immediately to kind of shut down your emotions and then just continue to look through everything. But I think being able to recognize the emotions that you're going through, it allows you and your partner to communicate better. And that's all you can rely on. There's nobody else out there that's there to help you. And half the people that you ask don't even want to help you half the time. So being able to be emotionally vulnerable helps to secure a bond of trust and communication between you and your partner that are going through this intensely stressful competition that you're in.
Right. What would each of you like to say to the entire Marine community on this 248th birthday of the Marine Corps?
Keep your heads up, keep fighting, keep that warrior spirit within the Marine Corps. I think in the last couple of years, we've had a really big issue with not honing in on that warrior spirit and making sure that we stay true to what the Marine Corps is and what it's always been, is America's best warfighter. And I think we need to continue keeping that going forward, and just to always look at the best positive outlook in all the situations that you're going to be in, because you're going to be in some of the greatest in your life and you're going to be in some of the worst of your entire life, but you're going to remember both of them for the rest of your life, and you're going to remember the people that are around you. So just cherish every single moment, but at the same time, just keep on being warfighters.
Hoorah.
Marines, happy birthday.
Marine Corps was born in a bar, if you don't know.
Thank you all very, very much for being here. This has been fun. We got to wrap things up. So I appreciate all of you. Semper Fi and happy birthday, Marines. Take care.
Raw.
Arrest.
If you visit the Intrepid here on the west side of Manhattan, you can see some examples of the original bunks, of course behind glass, including marine berthing. But if you visit the Explorium, which is great, you can have more of a hands-on experience like this. So let's put this into perspective. I'm like maybe 5, 6.5, and this is it. I know most Marines are bigger than me. Can you imagine this being your whole world for 6 months at a time? Sleep here, store everything right there, and this is it. It just kind of gives you a sense of the amazing sacrifice the 3,000 at a time that served on this great ship had to go through. The annual Marine Ball is one way we honor all those Marines past and present and all of that sacrifice. Here at the NYC edition, there's an annual honor called the Marine for Life Award. Past recipients include FedEx founder Fred Smith, former NYPD Commissioner Ray Kelly, actor Adam Driver, former president of the New York Mets Sandy Alderson, and last year's honoree Rob Riggle. Let's go back to this year's gala for the presentation to this year's honoree, General Joseph Dunford.
When I told some fellow Marines of mine that I would be introducing General Dunford tonight, they asked a question of me. Hey, Jake, if you could ask General Dunford one question, what would it be? I paused, I thought for a moment about what would I ask General Dunford if I only had one question. I thought to myself, you know, I was very privileged to get out of the Marine Corps after 4 years as a sergeant, but I had the most fun as a Lance Corporal. And so if I had one request that I could make of General Dunford, I think it would be for a meritorious demotion to Lance Corporal. I'm so proud to bring up to the stage our 2023 Marine for Life recipient. I cannot think of anyone who is more deserving of this award, General Joe Dunford. Thank you.
Jake, thanks so much for the introduction, but more importantly, thanks to you, to Zach Iskel, and to Jerry Byrne for hosting tonight, and for what you have done for Marines, sailors, frankly, soldiers, airmen, and their families. You know, I've told people when Jerry Byrne's name comes up, I have never, and tonight is another in a long line of nights like this, I have never been to a philanthropic event in New York City without Jerry Byrne being there and being somehow a part of it. I describe being a Marine as being part of the ultimate team sport, and so Marines are always a bit uncomfortable with individual recognition. And tonight, there's another part of the Marine family that I want to accept this award on behalf of, and that's the leadership, the staff, the care providers, the case managers, the visiting nurses of Semper Fi and America's Fund. And they're represented here tonight by Karen Gunther, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the fund here in a minute, but she's the founder and CEO of the fund. 20 years ago, we were all focused on operations in Iraq, and we were sending back home to Camp Pendleton, California, wounded sailors and Marines. And to say the least, there were some gaps in our ability to take care of those Marines and sailors and their families. And a group of spouses at Camp Pendleton got together and they said, you know, we need to do something about this. Most of the leaders, again, all in Iraq, and there's not much left at Camp Pendleton. I think of the probably 30,000 Marines or so that were at Camp Pendleton, maybe 24 or 25,000 of them were deployed at that particular time. And these spouses, they said, all right, we got to do something about it. And they went around, they collected clothing and toiletries, phone cards. When families came to visit, they picked them up at the airport. They provided a place for them to stay. This is not the U.S. government. This is a group of spouses at Camp Pendleton going around and asking people for help. That organization, since then, has raised something north of $280 million in the 20 years since it was founded. And tonight, there's 29,000 that are under case management, and that's from all the services now, that organization. We know from about 5 or 6 or 7 different metrics
the significant improvement in the quality of life of those individuals who have been most profoundly impacted by their service, the catastrophically wounded, ill, and injured. But there's one statistic that we're all particularly proud of as a team, and I want you to think about this for a minute. The suicide rate for those that are under case management in Simplifying America's Fund is 30% lower than the veterans population as a whole. And that's amazing when you think about the individuals that we're taking care of. You know, on nights like tonight, it's an opportunity to enjoy each other's company, reflect back on the Marines that we have served with, others who have served. But as importantly, it's about recommitting to the values that we hold dear. And all I would tell you is that included in the category of people who are the epitome of the values of United States Marines, who embody what it means to be Semper Fidelis, are those individuals I just talked about, who in many cases are working 65, 70 hours a week to take care of those who have made a profound sacrifice. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much tonight for honoring the fund and making them one of the organizations that you recognized here tonight. And more importantly, thanks so much for your support of the fund and for the team that does such great work with our catastrophically wounded, ill, and injured. Semper Fidelis, and happy birthday, Marines.
Max speed, 18,000 miles an hour. Preparing to enter atmosphere, deploying chute. Whoa! Can you imagine? This is so cool. So I'm actually in a replica of the original Gemini capsule. Back in the early 60s, a crew of 2 would take this in and out of space. But I know what you're saying. What in the world does a World War II aircraft carrier have to do with the space program? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'd be happy to tell you, but right now I can't feel my feet, so let's go outside and I'll explain it. Ah, that's better. I'm on the starboard side of the ship. Oh, and remember, starboard is right, port is left, because there are 4 letters in port and there are 4 letters in left. And that is the outside of what I was just inside, a replica of one of NASA's earliest space capsules. When the USS Intrepid was on active duty, one of its many missions was to serve as a recovery ship for the Mercury and Gemini missions. I mean, think about it. Astronauts Scott Carpenter, John Young, and Gus Grissom, after they flew into outer space and came back from outer space, first set foot on the deck of the Intrepid. It's just amazing history, and it's an amazing place. I really hope you can visit the museum and do yourself a favor. Come with a vet or a kid or both. The vet will appreciate it, and the kid will never forget it.
My name is Bill Curtis. I've been a journalist for 50, 60 years.
Tim Matheson. I am an actor, perhaps best known for The West Wing or Animal House.
Dr. Lem Burnham, a former NFL defensive lineman.
Salud Carbajal, representative for the 24th Congressional District on the Central Coast of California.
Don Belisario, a television producer.
Jamie Johnson. I'm a singer and songwriter and tour and entertainer.
Barry Corbin. I'm an actor. You've probably seen me in something, but if not, look around and you will.
And
I am a Marine.
When I went to Parris Island, South Carolina, which is where I went to boot camp, that was quite a place. And I was with all kinds of people, different people that I had no experience with growing up.
Well, it was a culture shock to most people. You're not being taken care of by your mother anymore. So, well, you are, but she's a little more circumspect about it. She's not as evident in the situation.
I most observed fear in the eyes of other men in my platoon and my company was when we get shots. We had 17 injections or shots and vaccines during boot camp. And those were the moments where I actually saw fear, more fear in the eyes of my fellow Marines than I've ever seen anything else.
Certainly boot camp was one of the highlights because it was the toughest. It was an exercise in discipline, an exercise in endurance, an exercise in being able to be a functioning, effective team member, and to be able to fulfill our mission, irrespective of backgrounds, socioeconomic status, ethnic status, political persuasions, ideologies. What mattered in the Marine Corps was the mission and respect of the rank.
Drill instructors are the best actors in the world because they make you think that they'll kill you. And they're actually pretty nice fellas, but they make you feel like you're just lower than dirt. And they do that for a purpose, tearing you down so they can build up what the Marine Corps needs.
The learning experience was immersive in the sense, we would stand at the end of the bunk and recite our rifle and then take it apart and put it back together. So that to this day, I don't remember the serial number, but I remember exactly how to disassemble an M14.
You're going to have a love-hate relationship with it. There's going to be a lot of good days. There's going to be some not so good days. Then there's going to be days that we try to block out later in life. But it was all for the good, because everything that we did built us up in a way that made us stronger and ultimately made us unbreakable.
I found that I had gained a great deal of respect while in the Corps, and that continued. If anything, it made me a man in all senses of the word, both emotionally and physically.
It taught me lessons that I carried through my life of how to work with other people, how to build a team, that I had a lot more strength than I thought I did and a lot more endurance than I thought I did. And I came to know myself much, much better.
There was not much buying in that I needed to do. I was sold. That's where I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. And I was going to make the best of that experience.
I had graduated from college when I went in. And I met a guy from Harvard who was also in my platoon. And we kind of chuckled, what are we doing here? Well, we all wanted to be Marines.
I found the Corps was not difficult to excel if you just put your head down and barreled ahead, which is what I did. And it enabled me to improve myself in the Corps from my first day of service to my last.
It was one of the most invigorating, I call it invigorating points or periods in my life, just being able to interact and learn and have different people learn about me and develop friendships. And I developed some friendships that I kept lifelong.
So when you come across other Marines, it's almost like a family member. You relate immediately.
I can be hanging out on my tour bus and get a couple of backstage guests. They could be friends of a friend or whatever, and they come in, Jamie, this is so-and-so, he was a Marine, and I immediately know. I immediately know this guy a little better than I would have if I'd just known his name.
Were you a Marine? So instantly I know the training you went through, the discipline that you had to learn, the hardships, that you went through that we all shared until being dispatched then to Vietnam and elsewhere. And any business would be happy to have that kind of esprit and bonding experience and immersive learning.
Every aspect of my life has been impacted, I think, by the Marine Corps. How to give orders, how to take orders, how to know the ranks of the people I'm working for and who can give me orders and who can't, and how to be polite and how to my superiors and to my juniors.
Marine will finish the job, start to finish, and know that others depend on him and he has to do it right, because if he makes a mistake here or takes a shortcut, then someone else down the line is going to pay for it. It's the uncommon valor that is instilled in every Marine.
The Marine Corps birthday is a special day of the year. The Marines, we get our own day. But what I would like to say to the Marine Corps today, Semper Fidelis, and that means always. Happy birthday, Marines.
I would like to wish every Marine, ex-Marine, Marine family a happy 248th birthday.
Thank you all for your service. Thank you for your dedication, and thank you for keeping us safe. And we pray to God that you will be safe and always honor the Marine Corps.
It is a great honor for me to be a veteran, to be amongst you as Marines. Devil Dogs, happy birthday.
Well, what all Marines say, Semper Fi.
Happy birthday, Marines. You deserve it, and so does the Corps. In the most historic and loyal group of individuals to protect the Constitution and our country. Thank God for the Marine Corps.
I would like to say to all the Marines out there, past and present, happy birthday. And remember, once a Marine, always a Marine. Semper Fi.
So we're here on the deck, and over my shoulder, the captain's deck, but right here, the captain of the Paramount Veterans Network, Rich Jones. So Rich Jones, you are not only the head of VetNet, you created this organization at CBS, then brought it to Paramount. Why was it so important for you to create the Paramount Veterans Network?
John, based on my own experience, knowing how important it is to have resources available to men and women who are transitioning from service, to have an ability to get an education, and then to transition into a job, into a career.
And what kind of employees do veterans make?
Veterans are the best employees because they know all about sacrifice. They know all about working hard, and they know all about teamwork. And yeah, I can think of no greater group that is focused on the mission and creating value.
I mean, I don't mean to be glib, but it really is win-win, right?
100%. Because we invest so much in our men and women in uniform, $30 billion a year that we, just on the training mission, that's something we should be tapping into because they come ready. Yeah. Right, so with a little bit of training within the company, they go on to be great assets for any company.
Now, that's something called the immersion program. What's the immersion program all about?
So we call it an immersion program because it's not necessarily an internship, right? It's an immersion. These are people who come as non-traditional. These are very skilled men and women from all branches of the military who we bring in who have an interest in the entertainment industry, and we put them at all different parts of the company, and they spend anywhere from 3 months to a year with us. And then we have a capstone event where they do a presentation ultimately to all of our division heads, and then 3 get chosen to do a presentation to our CEO, Bob Backish.
And it's a good fit.
it's fantastic, and the quality of these people is amazing. And they go on, and for a select few that we're able to bring on board as employees, and for the most part, even if we don't hire them, they go on and are very successful.
Absolutely.
And getting, and we have recommendations, and we have near 100% placement. Because I think that if there's one institution within our nation that people can look to with great pride, it's our military,
Yep.
because it represents the best of us.
You know, you've got movie star looks. Maybe you and Tom Cruise, maybe a little Paramount product there. Well, Rich, thank you so much for your service, obviously. Thank you for helping out with this event. And so we are going to pivot back to the gala now. One of the annual honors is named after our first black mayor, of course, New York City's David Dinkins, who was also one of the legendary Montford Point Marines. So let's go back to this year's birthday gala for the presentation of the David Dinkins Vanguard Award.
From the conversations I've had over the last couple of days, Sergeant Major Kent, from my experience under your leadership in Iraq, you really pollinated that legacy. You really left a huge impact on all of the people that had the honor of serving alongside you. Even somebody like myself who learned so much from, at the time, Gunnery Sergeant Dave Wilson, now Sergeant Major Dave Wilson. And so I'm proud to be part of your lineage and somebody that benefited from your mentorship and your guidance, even if it was generational. So Sergeant Major Kent, thank you. It's an honor to present this award. Sergeant Major Kent.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed an honor for me to be standing here tonight. It's an honor for several reasons. First of all, Zach, I just want to thank you for those kind words. And I would say that Zach has left a legacy in the Marine Corps. Tonight, as we stand here, this is the 19th anniversary of us pushing into the Second Battle of Fallujah. And I can tell you, Zach was one of those Marines with many others out here tonight that led those Marines in combat. And they led them just like Marines since 1775 till today. And from generation to generation of Marines, they're going to always live up to the great warfighting legacy that was left before them. We never worried about, those warriors that was coming back to stateside wounded, because we knew that the Simplify Fund was going to be waiting on the ground for them. And we knew that the Simplify Fund was going to take care of the Marine and their families. Matter of fact, sitting at the table tonight is some severely wounded warriors that's sitting here with Karen Gunther. And they can get up and tell, the Simplify story. We don't have to tell it. You don't see Simplify marching across the TV talking about their programs, because it's all about word of mouth from proof from these great Americans that's sitting here tonight. General Dunford mentioned, leaders don't take credit in the Marine Corps. This is not my award. This is the award for all the Marines, even the ones sitting here today, from generations to generations of Marines, of leaders. Never take credit. Credit always go to the Marines that you're leading. Now, when something go wrong, yes, we take credit for that. But when something go good, you always pass that down to Marines. So this award is about those wounded warriors. This award is about all the Marines from generations to generations that's sitting here tonight. This award is about the future Marines. We have the recruiters sitting here tonight. And the recruiters is the one that go out and find these dedicated young men and women and put them in the Marine Corps. My recruiter, I owe him so much. That was my first father figure. He was a highly decorated Vietnam veteran. I'll never forget him, Gunnery Sergeant Adams. And he came to my high school, very impressive guy. And he told me, he said, you know what, Carlton, I don't think that you can cut the mustard to be a Marine. And he was cocky about it. And I say, really there, Gunny? He said, yeah, because I don't think that you have it. I don't think you can earn the title. Now, as I think back, that was to get me in the door probably, but he got me. But I can tell you, Gunnery Sergeant Adams just didn't put me in the Marine Corps. He followed through my whole 36 years as a Marine. He checked up on me. And you know, he passed away not too long ago, but he was a true father figure to me. And that's what it's about. It's about the brotherhood and the sisterhood of the Marine Corps. It's about the beloved Marine Corps. Beloved. That means that it's about love. And we love each other. We love each other no matter what, because we got each other back. We got each other flanks. And we see it every day, and it's continuing. It's no such thing as old Corps, new Corps. It's the same Marine Corps. And this is an award about all the Marines, and this award is about my wife, Liz, and I want to thank her for standing by me. It is amazing that Liz have stayed with me since the 7th grade, but she's still here because I wasn't a nice junior high kid. So, but Liz, I love you dearly and thank you for everything. And I'll close with this. Semper Fidelis, always faithful. And we will be always faithful to each other. We will be always faithful to the families. And we will be always faithful to this nation. So God bless each and every one of you and Semper Fidelis.
Hey, happy 248th birthday to the United States Marine Corps. Thanks to all the active duty Marines stationed all around the world. Semper Fi, hoorah, all that stuff. I love you.
Happy 248th birthday to the United States Marines. We were going to throw you a surprise party. Then we thought maybe it wasn't a good idea to jump out at a lot of heavily armed warriors with lightning reflexes. So I'll just say, happy birthday, Marines. Hoorah! And don't forget to moisturize your leather necks.
To the few, the proud, happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps.
Wishing a very happy birthday to the U.S. Marine Corps from all of us here at The Talk.
Sending a big shout out and a lot of love to all those who serve and have served.
And a big congratulations to General Dunford and Sergeant Major Kent for being honored this year.
To all of our proud Marines and to all of their strong families, we appreciate you.
Thank you for your honor, dignity, service, and sacrifice. We are so happy that we could take a moment to celebrate with you. 248 years long, 248 years strong.
Happy birthday!
Hoorah! Wishing the Marine Corps family a very happy 248th birthday.
Hey y'all, this is Wayne Brady, and I would love to wish the United States Marine Corps a happy 248th birthday. As someone who comes from a military family myself, I want to thank you for your service. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You do what you do so we can do what we do. Happy birthday.
Everyone at the Bold and the Beautiful sends our love, admiration, and respect to every active duty Marine stationed around the world and all of their families. Thank you for your service. Semper Fi.
Happy birthday, Marines. I'm so glad that we could all be a part of your celebration. Happy 248th. And from all of us, Semper Fi. That one.
Wow. Back in April of 2012, millions of people, including this guy, got a thrill when they saw the USS Enterprise, that's right, this USS Enterprise, piggybacking on the back of a jet. As it flew around the Statue of Liberty, it went up the Hudson and then over to JFK, and it was going just slow enough where you could just see so much detail. It was amazing. So it goes to JFK, where it's put on wheeled transportation, and then it's trucked here, its permanent home at the Intrepid Museum. Fun fact, back in the 70s when it was under construction, it was supposed to be called the Constitution. Fine name, but fans of Paramount's Star Trek wrote hundreds of thousands of letters to President Ford urging him to name it the Enterprise in honor of Captain Kirk and the Enterprise. Well, clearly it worked. And in fact, at the dedication ceremony, most of the cast members, including the great series creator Gene Roddenberry, were there. Speaking of great ceremonies, let's head back to the birthday gala for one more very special speaker.
I think I'll start with offering just a comment, a little more fidelity on the Commandant's condition. He, tonight actually, while we were at dinner, a press release was issued, and it talked about him moving into recovery and rehab. So, yeah, we were very lucky, very blessed. He had a cardiac event when he was out running. He worked all day at the marathon, and if you know, well, any Commandant, but certainly General Smith, they're going to stay all day, shake every hand, take every selfie, and meet every single person who wants to talk to them. He didn't run the marathon, but he decided to get some PT, and afterwards he went for a run, and he suffered a cardiac event. And when the story comes out, it'll be told that an innocent bystander saw him fall, and instead of taking out their phone and making a video, that person engaged immediately. They were very well trained and provided immediate care and saved the Commandant's life. So, the faith in our fellow citizens, right? And he would absolutely want you to know how much we as a Corps appreciate these communities that provide unfaltering support to our ethos, to what we're trying to do, to our mission that continues. It's critically important to us, and why is that? It's because, you know, this is how we provide context to the American people of who we are. You know, I had someone say recently after the Commandant fell ill, I said, you know, he just cares so much. You know, if you know General Smith, you know that he's actually exceptionally tough. He's like kind of a cross-country runner, gymnast, wrestler combination. He looks like a piece of beef jerky. There's not a bit of fat on him. But people conflate his grace and kindness and warmth and the attention that he provides to others. They underestimate his physical toughness. And I told, there's somebody here, Sparky Renforth, one of my mentors here. I was determined to tell this story before I knew he was going to show up tonight. But I'll just tell you a quick story about General Smith. The first time I ever met him, both Sparky and I and a few others in attendance here were with Regimental Combat Team 1 in Iraq in 2004. And where we were was pretty sporty. And our XO got sent home. And the word went out that we were going to get a new XO. And Sparky rolled up on me one day. We were rack mates. And he said, hey, we're getting a new XO. His name's Eric Smith. And he's a really good person. Now, you can change the noun out for how that conversation actually went. I think we're going to like him. And within hours, I get the word to come back and see the XO. Wanted to meet me. Okay, go back in this little Taj Mahal. We were in this bombed-out building, and to his office, and there he sat with his foot up on a desk, with his combat boots on and his camis rolled up above the knee on one leg, and he was pulling a piece of gauze through a through-and-through gunshot wound in his leg. Just flossing his leg, you know. As I walked in the room, I'm thinking, okay, this is an interesting start, all right. And he begins to ask me about my family. He understands I got little kids. Actually, they're in the same grade school as his kids. And he's having this conversation, pulling a piece of gauze through a gunshot wound. And I'm trying to play the game. You know, I'm trying to play. I think this might be some kind of indoctrination. I don't know what's going on, right? I'm playing the game. And finally, I said, hey, because I'm a trained collector, I happen to notice that you have a gunshot wound. Highly trained. And he goes on to tell me how, yeah, he was just in an ambush with Brigadier General John Kelly and was shot. And he was evacuated to Baghdad. There's Baghdad International Airport. And he was about to be medevac to Landstuhl, Germany. But he knew he had orders to Regimental Combat Team 1, and where we were, there was some big events brewing. And he didn't want to miss that. So no kidding, he grabbed his gear and escaped from the hospital, jumped on a helicopter. We called it the Star Route. And he rode a helicopter through the night to get to camp where we were. And showed up. I mean, that sounds like a scene out of the, Heartbreak Ridge that didn't quite make the movie, right? And that's him, just tough as nails. So when he says he's going to rehab and he is on the mend, he's going to rehab and he's on the mend. But he would absolutely want me to say thank you to Jerry and Zach and Jake and all of the many people who set the conditions here for us to gather tonight. Thank you. Okay. So as I was thinking about you, I thought, how can I offer some context based on what I just told you? Someone said, well, he just cares so much. He just cares so much. And somehow people link that to the fact that he suffered a cardiac event. That's something my mom would say, God bless her. And for us, for Marines, caring is a given, right? The differentiator is that this is a group of leaders that hold themselves accountable. I mean, there is action expected. There is an outcome that is expected. Caring is a given, but holding yourself accountable to deliver an expected outcome. That's the difference. And then to choose a life where you surround yourself with friends and peers and fellow Marines who will hold you accountable on the days that you don't quite measure up. And that's the deal. And that's why you're sitting here in tuxedos still identifying yourself as a Marine. Because you surround yourself with people where the standard is selfless service, selfless, meaning subordinating yourself and your own interests, your own self-preservation, so that you can live up to your end of the bargain, so that you can stand in line and bear a disproportionate percentage of the burden for people that you will never meet. You will hear many things, very cynical things about generation whatever. We've been hearing that forever, right? But still to this day, they volunteer, they choose to do hard things, and the expectation is that we will make them better. We will make them better. That this service will compel them to evolve into humans that are better than they would have been on their own. And it is the association of their fellow Marines, not the institution, it is the fellow Marines. This esprit, this lifelong calling to selflessness on our best days, who we aspire to be on our best days. And in a ball like this, we gather together and we simply renew our vows. And I can report to you, from somebody who still has the honor of still wearing the jersey, that it is alive and well. 30,000 Marines tonight, almost 1 in 6 forward deployed inside the second island chain in the Pacific, off the shore in the Eastern Mediterranean, in the Middle East, prepared, in Africa, in South America, and on just about every continent, simply prepared to do their job. How blessed are we? Thank you, and Semper Fidelis.
Have you ever been on a submarine? Well, I have, and you can too if you take a tour of the Growler, which is docked right next to the Intrepid. This 60s-era nuclear sub actually lurked in the icy waters off the coast of Russia during the Cold War with a crew of 90 and 4 nukes. Thankfully, the Cold War never got hot enough to launch those nukes. It's about the length of a football field, and inside it's only about 27 feet wide, so it's more cramped in there than it is on the bunks that we showed you on board the Intrepid earlier in the program. And with that perspective, we bring to a close this year's Marine Corps Birthday Gala Special. Thank you so much for inviting me along to the party. Before we roll the credits, please let me offer a very heartfelt and happy 248th birthday to all the members of the Marine Corps family. And thanks to the Intrepid for inviting us and hosting us. And if you'd like to visit the Intrepid, and you should, www.intrepidmuseum.com. Till next year, God bless America, Semper Fi, and stay safe out there.
First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines.
Nobody knows the second verse. You're dismissed. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.